Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. My name is Lamar Ellis, and I am so pleased to present to you this Drone Education Services presentation on aerial inspections for real estate. It's part one of a three-part series. This one is titled Types, Uses, and Trends for Real Estate. I developed this program because I wanted to promote aerial inspections and aviation safety, and also I wanted to share with you the multiple opportunities of using aerial inspections for real estate. As our motto states, we are opening minds to drone technology. So wouldn't it be great that after your next flight, not only did you have fun, but you also gathered enough data that can be repurposed for multiple real estate businesses? This has been a team effort, and I'd like to give thanks to Dave Ballard, the executive producer of Drone Education Services, for putting this all together. I'd also like to thank the video contributions from Roman Mola of Flyworks, Jonathan LaLiberty of Third Eye Aerial Media, and Kelsey Norris of Southeast Drone. But before we get started, I want to introduce you to our unmanned teaching assistant, Uda. So with that, Uda, take it away.
Well, thanks, Lamar. Hi, I'm Uda. It stands for Unmanned Teaching Assistant. I'm here to go over some general housekeeping for the presentation. I'll be asking questions throughout to introduce some topics. Get involved and make your selections. We want to know what you think. Use the Q&A tab at the bottom to ask questions for Lamar to answer near the end of the session. And we'll also have a survey popping up afterwards in your browser. Be sure to fill it out. Your feedback really helps us, and that's a fact. But now, it's time for a disclaimer. Operating a drone is serious business, people. Be sure to follow all federal, state, and local rules when flying. This program does not certify you to operate an unmanned vehicle at any time.
Thank you, Uda. Well, again, my name's Lamar Ellis, and I am a trained real estate appraiser, which means I'm a real estate valuation expert. I hold both the MAI and SRA designations with the Appraisal Institute. I have over 6 years now of remote pilot training, and I actually use my Part 107 remote pilot certificate to do aerial inspections on the real estate that I appraise. Well, as a real estate appraiser, I'm educated and informed on market value. And I do this through discovery, analysis, and then reporting the results. But in 2014, I saw a news report on drones, and I realized drones were going to be changing the way that real estate is viewed. Up until that point, my day consisted of going to a property and taking pictures of the front, the rear, and the street scene, and then I would take measurements of the exterior. Then I would do a walkthrough on the interior of a property, making note of the quality and condition of the rooms that I was looking at. But in 2014, my life changed. Once I saw that report, I realized that real estate could be viewed from a different perspective. And so I embarked on a journey to learn as much as I could about real estate inspections from the air. This is part of a series that I created, 500 Flights and Counting. I spent 10 months flying this home, looking at it from different perspectives using a drone. And in the process, I learned about environmental, operational, and jurisdictional rules in flying drones for real estate. Today, I'm going to share with you some of the types and uses and trends for real estate, but as you can see, there are so much that you can look at in the process of looking at a piece of property. So, kick back and enjoy and watch as we develop what a drone is. So our timeline today, our goals and objectives are: what is a drone? The drone market, the types and uses of drones, and then the real estate businesses that actually are using drone technology. And then finally, we're going to discuss a little bit about the future. So, with that, Uda, are you ready?
Thanks, Lamar. It's time for a poll question, folks. Glad to see so many people interested in how to use drone technologies. Here's an easy one for you. Let's see how many of you either own a drone, have flown a drone, or been able to use a drone in some way in your business. Take a second and select any and all that would apply to you on the pop-up on your screen, and then I'll total them up.
Thank you, Uda. It's an excellent question. Well, we're going to give you close to about 10 seconds on each one of these questions to be able to get your answers. Have you ever owned a drone? Have you flown a drone? Or have you used a drone for business? So let's see those results. I see a few of you own drones and a few of you have flown it, and there's a little bit of you that have actually used a drone in business. Well, if you're going to use a drone in business, you're going to need a Part 107 remote pilot certificate issued by the FAA. So let's get started. What is a drone? Well, a drone's an unmanned vehicle, and they can operate in the four environments of water, land, air, and space. Today we're going to be talking mainly about aerial drones. The impact has been described as being similar to when automobiles hit the road for the first time. They are either controlled by remote control, or you can pre-program them. Back in 1935, Rear Admiral William Stanley was observing military exercises in Britain where they were shooting down unmanned planes. And those unmanned planes were based off of the DH-82B, which was nicknamed the Queen Bee. And so he said, look at those drones, and that name has stuck. A drone is unmanned. So that means there's no human being on or inside that is controlling it. And again, they can operate in the various spaces of water, land, air, and space. And they give access to places that humans can't go. Now, drones are equipped with a variety of sensors. And one day, they'll be able to be unmanned on our streets, locating people, other objects, and transferring themselves through environments that they can't today. What do? They give man a little bit of safety. No longer will man have to go to a planet to explore it. They can send a drone first. And drones are in everyday society now. This is a drone in Walmart. It's there to clean floors. And people didn't seem to mind it at all. Like I said, they're flown through controllers, or you can pre-program them. So why drones? Well, for me, aerial drones are practical. The number one use of drones is photography. And one of the top industries using drones is real estate. Why? Because it gives access. And they're fairly easy to use, which allows me to inspect things that I can't from the ground. It also gives me a degree of safety. No longer will I have to climb over a roof, go through a creek, or go over harsh terrain to view the property. And really, there's cost savings. My Mavic Pro, which I fly for my commercial business, actually has batteries that are charged with electricity. So there's plenty of cost savings there. Drones give access to places that are hard to reach, such as the building has been curved for the setbacks of the street. It can accent details that you can't get on the ground. It can actually show more of a property. So you can see the property and the improvements where they're situated. And look at all this equipment. That's the equipment I use, and it gives me relatively a safe environment to fly in. No longer will I have to cross that creek. Well, the FAA has got a website, and they have UAS by the numbers. That's where they track the number of registered drones and the number of registered pilots out there. Well, this is the last set of numbers, March 10th of 2020. And at that time, there were 1.5 million drones registered in the United States. And of that, 441,000 of those were commercial registered drones. And of that, 171,000 commercial registered pilots. Now, I own 2 drones, so those numbers kind of match up perfectly for me. But I've been in the business now since 2014, and even as late as 2017, their market predictions have been wrong, such as in 2020, we would have 7 million drones occupying the U.S. airspace.
Okay, here's another polling question for you. Which of the following drone companies do you recognize? DJI, Unique, Intel, GoPro, Parrot, or Autel? Just select any you've heard about.
Well, there are plenty of drone companies out there, and I'm sure you've heard of a few. You might not recognize them, but let's take some time and look at these and see which ones you do. Uda, can you throw up the results? Fantastic. A lot of you say DJI. Well, that's not unheard of. Let's look at what the market is today. Well, today, the U.S. market in February showed that DJI had 76.8% of the market share of commercial drones. Now, if you look at it, everybody else falls way behind in comparison. But DJI's supremacy does come at a price. Everybody's gunning to try to get their fair share of the market. Well, why is DJI there? Well, back in January of 2013, they introduced the Phantom. And the Phantom was the first small commercial drone with a gyro-stabilized camera. And therefore, you could take stabilized shots from the air of photographs and video. It changed everything. Let's take a look at some of the drones that are on the market. This is the S900, which was an early platform drone by DJI. This is the Mavic Pro, which I used to fly the 10 months of 500 flights and counting. Look at that drone going around the windsock. That's the Inspire, and that's Roman Mola showing off his talents. Difficult challenge to do. Then you have your little toy drones, such as the Extreme, or you can build a drone through a kit with your motors and batteries and controllers. And I have to, of course, throw my very first toy drone in, the Hubsan. But, oh, and there's my very first commercial drone, the Parrot AR 2.0. It had a fixed camera, so my shots were a little bit shaky, and that's why DJI was able to capture the market like they did. Look at the relatively ease getting the drone out there. Now you can use this one with a pilot and a separate cameraman. Not only that, they can fly in the environments of really hot heat to really, really cold, which allows man access to places they normally would not be able to get. And some drones can offer the ability to hover, and they can get out there and explore really, really quickly in environments that you normally wouldn't be able to get to. So what kind of system do you need to consider? Well, I've got 6 items listed here, but look at the very bottom. Data. Data is where it's at. Your clients are not going to be paying you to fly a drone. They're going to be paying you for the data they're going to be able to get. So I always try to get a drone that's going to get the data for my clients, and then I try to find something that's practical, easy to use, easy to set up. I can count on it. It's durable. It means it can stand up to multiple flights, and it has enough airtime to complete the mission. Now, my Mavic Pro has got 27 minutes of airtime, but I'll only keep it up in the air for about 17, 18 minutes. Risk mitigation, I don't want that thing falling out of the air, running out of battery power. Here's a little mock setup I did at Bobby Jones Golf Course, and I was going to use my Unique Q500. Well, it's got skids underneath it, which could get tangled in grass, so I actually put down a landing and takeoff zone. And then for a little extra protection, I set up a little perimeter with some orange cones to prevent people from going in on the landing and takeoff zone. Next, I got the drone and a toolkit. Now, I like to use as my toolkit a fishing tackle box because it's got little compartments for your wires, batteries, and any kind of tools that you might need to use on your drone. Now, this is a drone that was basically on the market in 2016, and it's a little bit bulkier than the drones that are out today. But I like it for demonstration purposes, such as the battery, which fits right in the rear compartment, snaps in, and you're ready to fly. And you've got propellers. Now, be careful. If you run into a propeller that's got a nick or a chip in it, don't use it. Then do your pre-flight inspections on your drone after you're all set and ready to fly. And believe it or not, you'll be able to have access to areas that you wouldn't be able to get to before quickly and efficiently. Imagine if I used a ladder to get up on that roof. It would have taken 10 times longer than it does to take the drone up there to get these magnificent views of the golf course and the city skyline.
It's polling question time again. What types of properties would you fly for your real estate business? Would it be commercial properties, industrial, residential, or agricultural properties? On this one, select all that would apply.
Well, take a second there. What kind of businesses would you be able to fly using a drone? There are multiple opportunities out there. Uda, let's see some of the results. Fantastic. A lot of you are like me. As a real estate appraiser, I have the opportunity to fly the commercial properties of office and retail, and for industrial, manufacturing, distribution, and storage. For residential, multifamily, single family, and don't forget the environments of urban, suburban, and rural, so agriculture, farms, and ranches. There are plenty of opportunities out there. You just need to look for them. So how are you going to choose a drone? Well, we already went through the data and the reliability and the ease of use, but you also need to consider your environment and your needs. A fixed wing looks like a plane. It has a single motor in the front and is operated on a single battery. Now, the great thing about a fixed wing is it can get up there and it can glide. So you can actually stay in the air longer. But if you're in an urban environment, maybe a multi-rotor, that can land and take off in tighter spaces and it can hover. But it can't stay in the air as long as a fixed wing because one battery operates multiple motors. Now, there you have the new drone of the future, the VTOL. That's the vertical takeoff and landing drone. And Elon Musk confirms that this is the drone of the future. UPS has got a version of a VTOL that they're using for package delivery. They've been testing it in North Carolina and Florida. So for you, what drone would be the most efficient to fit your needs? Well, different platforms require different training. So a little word of warning. If you are able to fly, or if you get a fixed wing and you're flying in a rural environment, it may not be as good for an urban environment. Why? Because in a rural environment, you're flying over a larger piece of land. And in an urban environment, most improvements are on tighter plots of property. So if you think about it, if you're on a larger piece, you'll need a battery that will be able to take you out and be able to perform the entire mission. Whereas if you're in an urban environment where you need to take off and land in tighter spaces or have the capabilities of hovering, multi-rotors. But be careful. You're not going to be able to take that fixed wing into an urban environment because it's covering a lot of territory really fast. And you'll get it out of your line of sight fairly quickly. And a multi-rotor may not have enough battery power to be able to perform the mission on a large tract of land. We actually did a study. We did a test on 100 acres, and a fixed wing was able to fly the entire 100 acres on a singular battery, whereas the multi-rotor required 5. So be careful. Different platforms, different training. So I strung together a couple of videos of things of what drones are being used for. Construction in progress, seeing the scope of work, are the priorities being met, roof inspection, moisture detection or heat loss. What about forestry? How much forest will you be able to take? Agriculture, what's the health of the plants? How about irrigation equipment monitoring? Are all the sprinkler heads working? Can I develop a map where I can see the size of each one of the improvements? Firefighting. How about tracking cattle? What about if I was using a drone for animal locating using the thermal imaging camera? Traffic monitoring, the ingress and egress to properties. Right-of-way inspections. Wind turbine inspections, one of the most dangerous items to inspect today. Cell tower inspections, they need to be inspected twice a year, or after a major disaster. Bridge inspections. 1 out of every 4 bridges is requiring major repair. Marina inspections. Are the slips being rented? What are the quality and conditions of the marina? And then finally, thermal imaging, search and rescue. And then you have railway inspections. Are there any impediments on the track that could prevent the train from getting to its destination? And of course, I had to do the old pull away. I'm only 200 yards away from this drone, but look at the vast amount of territory that I can see in just this sense of picture. Well, real estate. There are multiple opportunities. Real estate was an early adopter of using drone technology or aerial inspections. Why? Because of the ease of use, the access to areas they couldn't see before, the ability to inspect more, the safety, and the cost. Just know your market and provide more to your clients. So, Uda?
All right, folks, it's time for another question. What crossover real estate businesses do you think would be able to use drone services? Would it be appraisers, marketing, insurance, architecture, tax assessment, builders and developers, attorneys, or property managers? You can select all that would apply in this one. And let's see what everybody thinks.
Thank you, Uda. That's a lot of real estate businesses up there, isn't it? There are so many opportunities out there. Which ones do you think that could be used for aerial inspection? Uda, let's see. Oh my gosh, looks like I'm getting through to you guys. Looks like a lot of you understand that all of those could actually use drone technology to do aerial inspections. Why don't we go through a few of them and see what we have? Well, of course, I'm trained as a real estate appraiser. It has increased my expertise. Now, a drone is just a tool like anything else. It can't be used on every assignment. You're going to have airspace clearance issues, or maybe weather issues with wind or rain, or you could have jurisdictional issues such as you might not be able to fly in that area. But if you can use a drone, it allows you a unique view and aerial access to places that you normally wouldn't get. So you can identify those points of interest. And the great thing is it's real-time data. So what, as an appraiser, would I use this for? Well, does it conform to the surrounding properties? Where is it actually located? Is there any new construction in the area? Where are my amenities of school, shopping, and employment? And then how do I get to the property? And once I'm there, how do I enter the property or exit it? Can I make a 3-dimensional model or a 2-dimensional orthomosaic of the property? Do I need specialized equipment, such as thermal imaging? How about agents and brokers? Those were the real first early adopters of this, and they used it for marketing because there's multiple opportunities. It allows them to showcase the features of the property and help the clients develop a personal connection. Not only that, you can actually rebroadcast these properties at your home or office. It gives unique content for marketing. So let's throw up a little piece that I did on Captiva. Now I'm showing the surrounding areas and the island itself, but then when I get to the property, I actually added a script of the features of the property. Now, everybody's different. You can add beautiful music, you can put your logo in the corner, you can design these things however you want. But the great thing is that when you're done, you're developing that personal connection with your client. So let's just say that I wanted a beach house, but I didn't want to be directly on the water because I was kind of scared of it. Well, already I would see right off the bat that this wouldn't be the place that I would like to have a house. But let's say I owned a boat and I wanted to take that boat out whenever I wanted to. I've got a dock right outside ready to be used. So as you can see, you're already developing a personal connection with this property and understanding all the benefits that it has just in what I've given you on this little script. What about insurance? what's protected. Insurance companies want baseline assessments. What is a baseline assessment? Well, it's the date of inspection, it's the proof that the property exists or the improvements exist, and then it's the condition. What does that do? Well, it helps to identify the coverage, and you can get a more accurate damage assessment, which means expedited claims. You can actually get out there right after, let's say, a major rainstorm and see the damage as it's occurred. Now, what does that do for you? You can actually expedite claims as they come in after the damage has occurred. Then you can actually look at some things. Let's look at fire damage. Well, let me give you a warning first. Now, if there are emergency response units in the area, don't put your drone in the air because they'll have to take out their emergency response, such as planes or helicopters, if they see an unknown drone in the sky. But for a drone, like I said, you can assess the damage and expedite the claims. And here is Seattle after it was hit with a tornado. And you can see all the damage to the area. So as an insurance agent, I can get out there and I can expedite those claims and keep my clients happy. Here is a property where some trees and power lines came down. Now that's the little carriage house in the back. And you can see it didn't get hit by the trees, but as we pull up, we can see that the drone shows that some cars got hit in the driveway. And as an insurance adjuster, do you really want to go and climb over all those power lines and those tree limbs to see what's going on? Thank goodness those trees didn't hit the carriage house or the main house. But as you can see, they really do add to the assessment of the damage of a piece of property. What about tax assessors? Well, there's decreasing staffing in a lot of government buildings, and tax assessors have seen decreased staffing. So what does that do? It limits them on the amount of properties that they're able to inspect. So what does a drone do? Well, it's a little less intrusive, so you don't have anybody walking over your property, and they can see more and cover more ground. Therefore, you can get a little bit more accurate assessment of what's out there, and it reduces the need for litigation because, remember I told you, it's real-time data as of the date of inspection, proof of the existence of the improvements, and the quality and condition that's there. Think about for property managers. Here is a flight over a industrial park, and I set the waypoints to 4 different locations on the 4 different corners of each one of the warehouses. Now, I'm flying it, and I get to see how the property looks like from the air. I get to see the improvements. I get to see the parking lots. I get to see how the roofs are doing, such as, look at those roofs over there. They have not vented the AC units properly, and they're leaking on the roof. And you can see that we now have some potential water damage that we might need to take care of. You can actually also see the surrounding properties, such as the new housing development being built across the street. Using a drone gives access and unique views that you cannot get from the ground. Here is my favorite of all of these. Believe it or not, it's architecture. Why? Because the future buildings will be either redesigned, remodeled, or be rebuilt altogether. The buildings of the future are going to need space to support the technology. And also, with aerial photographs, we can have historical data stored. It also helps us to build green technology. Now, green technology is putting everybody into an environment where office, retail, and housing are all together so that we can have more conformed and usable space. Here is the city of Atlanta. Are you thinking green? Well, I am. And it's not just aerial technology. Think about unmanned automobiles. Well, they're not really here yet, but they are planned for the future. And actually, buildings are starting to think about that. 2 things you ought to consider. Parking lots are now being designed as flat with ramps going up to the next levels. Why? Because if automated technology in automobiles comes out, then the need for having a car is gone. And if that goes, then you'll need those buildings to be repurposed. So parking lots can be repurposed and those ramps can be changed to elevators, staircases, and storage. Think about in residential. If there's no need for an automobile, then what are you going to do with that extra space of your garage? That can be reconformed to some other purpose. Now for aerial technology, you're going to need antennas, charging stations, and also places to be able to do deliveries. So as you can see, drone technology is already making a major impact, and they're already considering what can be done with it in the future. Have I convinced you yet? What about owners and investors? People are proud of their property. They want to showcase it. They want to get a property analysis or a portfolio. Well, I used to give seminars up in the Midwest, and one of the things that all appraisers were telling me was that in some houses, they would see pictures of the property that were shot from the air. Now, those pictures were shot from pretty much a crop duster that was flying by, and they would send a print to the homeowner, and the homeowner was so proud of what they owned, actually asked for a copy of it to hang in their house. Now, what does it do? It shows the date of inspection, it proves that the improvements exist, and it shows the quality and condition of those improvements, which actually add to some legal protection. Here is a house in Highlands, North Carolina. Now the homeowner was so proud of his property, and even though this is a shot that you could typically do by walking a camera down the driveway, you can't do this. Look at how quick we're able to access the roof. Now, drones, aerial drones, give opportunities to showcase properties from different viewpoints and different vantage points. And the ability to be able to get up and see those properties from different angles really can have some benefits, like showcasing the improvements on the site and how the improvements are situated and actually how large they are. But look at all those trees. That really kind of posed some problems in this inspection. We couldn't actually view the rear of the property. But the homeowner was so proud, he actually wanted us to shoot some of the varieties around it, such as access to the property over Mirror Lake, and then wanted us to showcase the downtown city of Highlands, North Carolina. This is a 2-minute drive from the house, and it's got all the schools, shopping, and employment. Well, another early adopter out there were builders and developers. Why? Because of scope of work. They were making sure that the priorities were met. They were identifying problems early. They could reduce their liabilities, and they could actually reduce their completion time. Why could they reduce their completion time? Because they could make sure that the priorities were being met, and they also had a safety feature. Were their workers doing things safely when they were building the properties that they were dealing with? Also, you could actually get a time of what was done at the date of inspection. You can prove, is the worker doing what he's supposed to be doing? Now that worker is putting flashing underneath the shingles of the rooftop. Is the dirt being moved to where it needs to be moved on the site? How about if the property needs to be inspected multiple times, like before, during, and after? This builder was using this for marketing purposes along with identification. This property is ready to be built upon. And finally, the Brave Stadium is getting close to completion. As you can see, builders and developers can use drones for a variety of different things for scope of work. Finally, we have attorneys and litigation. What does it do? It helps create a more thorough report, which adds to your credibility in court. Judges and juries are used to seeing photographs and videos of property, and real-time photographs showing the existence of an improvement plus the condition of the improvement sure can help your credibility. Google and Bing Maps can be over 6 years old and definitely do not show what's there at the property on that day. That gives you a little bit of a cost reduction too in the services provided. So, have I proved it to you? Well, let's go over a few things right now. Here was a property a warehouse with no access to the roof, but I could see the tree limb. And it was the water what we were concerned about. Next, we're looking at the skylights and the air conditioning units to make sure that they were properly installed and working functionally right. Railways are using drones to actually make sure that all their equipment is being placed in the right place. Thermal imaging is being used for search and rescue and also for tracking cattle to find it. And then we have those drones that have got easy access to get out there. Look at how easy and capable this drone is. How about those roofers? Do we have enough shingles to complete the job? Are those roofers tied in properly? Can reduce our ability for litigation if an accident were to occur. And I can use pre-programming to make sure that I have that drone flying to the coordinates I need and not going over the interstate. I can showcase properties and the ingress and egress to them and the amount of traffic flow and if the parking lots are full. I can also go out, and the main thing is have some fun. Here I am flying down off a bridge in Jacksonville to flying over a marina in Brunswick. Drones are fun, and now isn't it nice that you could take all that footage and repurpose it for multiple real estate opportunities? Thank you so very much. I believe Uda's got another question for you. So with that, Uda?
Okay, here we go. You know what time it is. This question, do you think you'll see drones used for aerial inspections? Yes, no, or maybe?
Thank you, Uda. Well, have I convinced you? Uda, show up those results. Fantastic. I think I have. This is awesome. Yes, there are so many opportunities out there. All you have to do is just go out there and look for them. The trick is to think outside the box. Drones are already here. As you saw earlier, that drone was operating around Walmart cleaning the floors. There are so many opportunities for anybody that's looking for drone services. So, again, think outside the box. Thank you so very much. I sure hope you enjoyed this Drone Education Services presentation of aerial inspections for real estate. Now, let's cut to Uda.
Hey, thanks, Lamar. And once again, folks, fill out that survey that'll pop up at the end of the presentation in your browser. Hope you get out there and get in the air.
Happy flying.